Hi, Berry Bunch. Today we're going to work on WH questions, comprehension questions. Who questions, what doing questions, where you're doing it, and when are you doing it. So in this story that I'm going to read, and mom and dad or grandma, grandpa, aunties, uncles, whoever's working with the student, I usually work on comprehension, auditory comprehension, WH questions, reading stories. I don't start off with stories. I use like Weber question cards so they can look at pictures, answer the questions, so I know that they understand who questions, what questions, where questions, when questions, why, inferential. There are all kinds of questions, but I first work on questions with cards, asking questions using the cards to make sure they know how to answer a who question or know how to answer a what question. I make sure they understand the question I'm asking. Then when I know that they understand the question I'm asking by playing games, using cards, I move to a book. I love reading books, as you know, and today I'm going to read The Snowy Day by Ezra Jack Keets. This book has a lot of past tense verbs in it. I love working on two things at the same time. So if I read this book to a student, I'm not only working on WH questions, I'm working on past tense irregular verbs. I'm not going to focus on those irregular verbs, really. I'm focusing on the WH questions this time. Now, how do I teach that with the book? Well, it's best to use a book that's paper, because when you use a hard book like this is an old book of my son who is now 25, so it's a book that he had. This one is shiny, so when I highlighted words or highlighted my key that I used, the highlight started dripping because it was wet. So all my who questions are yellow, are highlighted in yellow. The answer is highlighted in yellow. I had to put a piece of tape over it so it would stop running and dripping. So the same with my what doing questions. They're highlighted in green. That's verb, action. Because the green was kind of wet, I covered it with clear tape. Same with where. All the answers to the where questions are highlighted in pink. Place, location. I covered that with tape. It was running. You see it's running right there. Can you see that? It's kind of running. Yep, that's why I cover it. Then the when questions, I highlighted this time with, it says pink, circled in green, but I think I used yellow. I think I did. So I covered it with tape. So it's best to use a paper book, and you need to use a book that is on your student's reading level. That's very important. They can't answer questions using vocabulary that's not familiar. So please work in the reading book that they understand and at their reading level. If you don't know what their reading level is, ask their teacher, okay? I'm starting now. I will not ask questions until the end of the story, but as you notice me reading when I show you the picture, you'll see words highlighted because throughout the story, you're highlighting those words to answer those who, what, when, or where questions. I do not work on why questions first because that's more abstract. You have to really think outside of the box to answer those why. Sometimes you can't get the answer from the pictures. So you don't work on the why questions or inferential questions until your student understands who questions, what questions, where questions, and when questions, okay? So before I even start reading a book and asking comprehension questions, I've already worked on cards, games, bingo to help your student understand how to answer who, what, when, where questions. Then I work on the book, okay? So let's start. The Snowy Day by Ezra Jack Keets. I will read the page first, then I'll show you the picture, as always. One winter morning, Peter woke up and looked out the window. Snow had fallen during the night. It covered everything as far as he could see. I love the snow, and I believe Peter loves the snow also. I need to clarify that. I love playing in the snow. I like making snowmen, and snow animals, and making snow angels. And there was a friend of mine that I knew that made a Black Panther in the snow. He has gifted hands. He really does. After breakfast, Peter put on his snowsuit and ran outside. The snow was piled up very high along the street to make a path for walking. Yeah, that's so cool. Crunch, crunch, crunch. His feet sank into the snow. He walked with his toes pointing out like this. And then he walked with his toes pointing in like that. I'll show you the picture. See that? Isn't that cool? Yep. Then he dragged his feet slowly to make tracks. He found something sticking out of the snow that made a brand new track. I wonder what made that new track, that line. It has to be something skinny, narrow, like a stick, maybe. It was a stick that was just right for smacking a snow-covered tree. Look at that. Now, did you notice what Peter wore to go out in the cold? What was he wearing? He wasn't wearing shorts. He wasn't wearing a short sleeve shirt. No, he was wearing a coat with a hood. He had gloves on or mittens on. He had boots. He didn't have a scarf, but you could wear a scarf around your neck, boots, pants. So to dress warm outside when it's cold, you must wear more than you wear inside, okay? Don't go outside or leave school with your zipper down and your coat is wide open. You'll be cold walking home if you walk home or if you ride your bicycle home. Make sure you bundle up, put that scarf around your neck, wear earmuffs, hat, hood, coat, stay warm, okay? Down fell the snow, plop, on top of Peter's head. It didn't hurt. You know why? He had his hoodie on. It didn't hurt. He thought it would be fun to join the big boys in their snowball fight, but he knew he wasn't old enough yet. No, that was not a good idea. Look at that. Look at those huge snowballs. Whop! He got hit in his chest and it knocked him down. That's what would happen to you if you played snowball fight. It's best not to play snowball fight. Stay safe, especially at school. Do not play snowball fight. Be safe. Make a snowman. Make a snow fort. Make snow angels. That's safer for you. It really is. Unless your mom and dad are outside supervising. Or your grandma. So Peter made a smiling snowman, see? And he made angels. Just like that. See that? He made angels. And a snowman. And then he pretended he was a mountain climber. He climbed up a great big tall heaping mountain of snow and slid all the way down. How about that? That's real fun, sliding down a hill. But the best way to slide down is using a skinny air sound at the beginning. Lifter, sled. Yes, using a sled or even rolling. Rolling your whole body down a hill in snow. That is so much fun. Peter picked up a handful of snow and another and still another. He packed it round and firm and he put the snowball in his pocket for tomorrow. And then he went into his warm house. I don't think he was thinking about that snow really. He told his mother all about his adventures while she took off his wet socks and clothes. There he is, putting that snow in his pocket. Well, he's packing it. And there he is at home, taking off the wet clothes. He's inside of his warm house. Of course, his mom is helping him get the wet clothes off. And he thought and thought and thought about them, the snow. He's taking a bath right now because he was outside playing in the snow. Snow isn't always clean. And when you're outside, you get dirty and sweaty. So he came inside and took a bath, getting ready for bed. Or shower. Before he got into bed, he looked in his pocket. His pocket was empty. Of course it was empty. The snowball wasn't there. You know why? Because it melted. He felt very sad. He wanted to play with that snow in the house. The only way he could play with that snow in the house is if he put it in a bowl or something and immediately put it in the freezer. Then it may not melt, but most of the time the snow will melt. You have to put it in the freezer. Anything that's cold that could melt, it must go in the freezer. That's hard or frozen, it must go in the freezer. While he slept, he dreamed that the snow had melted he dreamed that the sun had melted all the snow away. But when Peter woke up, his dream was gone. The snow was still everywhere. New snow was falling. See, ta-da, new snow. Yay! Hip, hip, hooray! After breakfast, he called to his friend from across the hall, and they went out together into the deep, deep snow. Fun, fun, fun for the next day. Now, that's the end of the story. So what I do, mom and dad, grandma, grandpa, sisters, brothers, whoever's helping the student, I start with the first page. And, of course, your student is reading along with you, tracking as you're going. And then you ask the question, when did Peter wake up? And as they're looking, you see that the when questions, and of course you have to tell your student what each answer is highlighted. So for when questions, it's the yellow highlight circled in green for mine. So when I say, when did Peter wake up? They would see the yellow highlighted or circled in green, and they'd say one winter morning, because you're going to talk to your student and say all the yellow highlight are the who answers, all the green highlight are the action answers, all the yellow green the where questions, the when, and the pink is the where. So you need to discuss that with your student before you go through that, okay? So then I say, what did Peter do in the morning? That's action. They're highlighted in green. He woke up, he looked in the morning. And where did he look in the morning? Where did he look? That's highlighted in pink. Out the window. And then I may say, what did the snow... Well, I don't want to use that one. Let's go to another page. Remember, I'm not going to go through the whole book. I'm just going to give you an example of what I do after I read the story. So then you go through the page with your student, and then you ask the question, what did Peter do after breakfast? Well, he put on his snowsuit. I didn't highlight that on purpose because sometimes I don't highlight it to see if the student can find the answer. If we practiced a lot, I do that sometimes. Or I could say, what did Peter do after breakfast and after he put on his snowsuit? Hopefully the student will say, ran, because it's highlighted in green. That's the action word. Where did he run? Outside, because it's highlighted in pink. So you see how you do that? You highlight the words, the answers to the questions. And once your student gets used to seeing that particular color, they can answer those questions easily in any book that you read on their reading level. And then once you believe your student knows how to answer those questions, don't highlight any books. Maybe highlight 4 or 5 books that are paper books that aren't really expensive. And then after your student gets used to answering those who questions, what doing questions, or what they're doing it to questions, or where questions, or when questions consistently, then remove the highlight. Start introducing books without highlight, okay? Well, that's all we have for today, Berry Bunch. Until next time, I love you, I love you, I love you because you're you. So please become the very best, only you, because I love you. On your way to becoming the best you can be. Bye-bye.